So, I want to talk about a new anime airing called I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. And I gotta say, I have never wanted to be suffocated by maids' bosoms more than in my life. And especially at the fact that they're AI. Or robots and stuff like that. And this is one thing that's actually brought up in this anime quite a lot, is AI. I know, an artist's worst nightmare, especially in today's day, and more so recently. It's quite interesting what the anime tries to present and how it goes about it, especially the first couple of episodes. It does a pretty interesting job. It's very dark as well at the very first episode. It kind of goes over a main protagonist who lives a pretty horrible, like, it's a normal mundane life, works his job, finds out that his wife actually slept with another guy, well, was with another guy, actually found out that the daughter is also not his, that's actually with another dude. And she's like, oh, I wanted good genetics. That's kind of ironic, seeing as she has health problems. So clearly the genetics component really didn't work out for you, sweetheart. And then on top of that, finds out that pretty much his superior frames him for some criminal stuff, gets him fired. He ends up hooking up with his wife, and he's now left working construction, loses his job, basically barely can survive, is super sick, slowly dying, and has to pay child support. And everything falls apart for the woman. The guy ends up going to jail, and he ends up being reincarnated in another world as a young boy who inherits a giant debt of stuff from a bunch of parents that end up abandoning him, and their final gift to him is a hot, big-bosomed AI robot, which, I'm going to be honest, if I could stick my thing in there, I would. I'm just saying, that thing is hot. I'm just being honest. If this is the future of AI and robotics, hallelujah. I don't have to be a loser forever. Oh wait, that won't ever change. Well, irrelevant. At least I can be a loser with a hot AI big bosom babe in my lonely bed while being a failing YouTuber. It's all, kind of a bit chaotic, much like this anime, because this anime is all over the place, if I'm being completely honest. Even though it has that really cool beginning, which is really dark, by the way, and I definitely am surprised it hasn't caused controversy, because it's like painting women as bad in this, but it also just paints people bad in general. I mean, I look at Shield Hero and the whole cheating thing in there, and it's like, look what that caused. But I think because this anime isn't that popular, it isn't going to get that controversy. What I thought was interesting is just how chaotic it is, and it's just kind of like all over the place. And it's one of those, like I said, it's an isekai junk food. So if that's what you want, go into it. It's going to be great. It's absolute roller coaster. The tags are everywhere, by the way. There are more tags than I've ever had stable relationships, which isn't really that many that you need to get. Probably one tag. We'll move off that topic. So, action, fantasy, harem, isekai, mecha, military, reincarnation, sci-fi, space. I know, quite a lot. And I just realized it had harem in there. We ain't even gotten to a harem part yet, and we're 3 episodes in. I'm expecting, now that there's a harem part in there, robot's going to be one, and I'll get into why. And there's probably going to be some space chick in there. They've already gone over like another planet with some hot chick in there. I expect that he will probably start freeing stuff. One thing I do actually like about this anime is it does go back to his trauma. So it doesn't just ignore his past life. Because in episode 3, there's this like whole like dude that's like doing some underhanded stuff. And it's this guy kind of reminds him of his past life where the guy screwed him over with the embezzlement and money laundering and all this kind of shady illegal stuff. And he basically just goes, oh, you're one of those kinds of people? Blame someone else and have them killed? How did that make you feel? Did that make you feel good? Did it? And the guy's like panicking. He's like, oh, you can't kill, and then he just kills him. Just straight up kills him. And I'm just like, and the trauma, you can see the trauma. So I was like, that's actually pretty good. Even though this is isekai junk food, I've got to commend the fact that it actually adds the trauma component in it. Because normally, a lot of these types of animes will just ignore the past life. Like, sure, they might have some setup, some foreplay, bounce chicka wow wow, but then they kind of ignore it, and then they're just like, oh yeah, he's a new stud muffin. And even though, yeah, there's some questionable things in here, especially like the training and everything, and some ability to be more enhanced and all that. And it is kind of funny that he's now getting all these like AI kind of things to do all the jobs that these like shady individuals are doing. It's like, that's pretty smart. But there's also the AI history as well, where mankind kind of fought against AI because of all these other issues in the past. I think it's interesting how they've kind of set up an interesting backstory, which is why I do expect there to be some type of like romance thing where the AI is kind of like him, so it's kind of like a harem. But one of the things that kind of made me question where this story is going to go, and not in a negative way, was when he asked the maid and he said, "Oh, do you have emotions?" And she kind of said no. And I'm wondering, as time goes on, will something happen where she can start to feel emotions, and maybe they kind of like, yeah, turn into like a proper harem where the AI actually falls in love with him and he can actually be with one of these AIs. I'm like, yeah, if you can stick it, why not? I mean, it's loyal. I would. I'm just saying. Why not? I was going to say something, but it's probably gone too far. If it's a hole, it's a goal. As long as it's not insane. But the maid's pretty good. And in the sense of like, also the maid gives advice, and there's like things that it seems to be able to learn, and they're kind of setting up like baseline things. I would like there to be a little bit more of the main protagonist actually doing some of the administrative stuff, because the one thing I didn't like was the fact that it was like, oh, I bought this, well, actually technically the mother bought it, and then he kind of picks what he wants, but it's just one of those where it's like, oh, your parents bought you this AI robot that's basically going to replace the parents because the parents abandoned him and ditched him with all this debt, and then he's able to use that robot to start to get them out of debt as a country. And I'm like, why couldn't they have done that to start with? Like, it just, to me, it's one of those where there is some issues with the story, but at the same time, because it's isekai junk food, I kind of throw some of that stuff out the window because I'm not really going to overthink too much. But there is definitely some really weird, silly stuff. Like, they kind of mash a lot of different things together, and it just kind of like goes together. Like, it's got mecha stuff in there, and it's space stuff and lasers and all that kind of shenanigans, and robots and AI and harems and chick with like knight's armor and stuff. And there seems to be this possibility that someone else is going to be reincarnated or teleported, and this is not Masked Dude, but weird teleporting weirdo guy that's like watching things. Like, there's a lot of crazy things in it, and it kind of mashes everything together, and it makes somewhat sense. But I am kind of in that mindset where I'm like, yeah, things are getting pretty chaotic. So I hope the story somewhat makes cohesive sense as it goes along, because that is one concern, and it is based on a light novel, so it's like, hopefully it's going to be one of those crazy things. But again, like I said, the tags definitely hit a lot of different notes: the action, fantasy, harem, isekai, mecha, military, reincarnation, sci-fi, and space. Like, the mecha and the space kind of thing kind of throws both together, and in the first episode he's in a mecha unit out in space, so they're kind of just throwing a bunch of different things together. I would like to have seen a little, like I said beforehand, I would like to have seen more of him dealing with the administrative stuff and showing his skills, because again, he has a past life of the working class, and it would be nice to see some of that sort of like, oh, he's got, knowledge in finances and economics and sort of maneuvering, like negotiations and managing things and administrative stuff, and kind of use that to then be like, oh, well, now I can do this on a grander scale in an empire, and at least it would make sense. And then he could do that, and the AI would learn from him, and then the AI could then replicate it to these other maids or AI robots, whatever they're going to do, and then do that. It would have felt a little bit more structured, rather than just kind of being like, oh, AI does it and the maid chick does it, and he just kind of like is just there being silly. It would have been nice, because it does feel like he goes from this doom and gloom kind of past life of a working class to this really young, immature kid that doesn't really seem to think much through. It just kind of feels like it threw a lot of like the maturity aspect of him. And I get that, again, he's been reincarnated, so maybe he might be a little bit more silly, but then it throws the trauma part in there, which feels a bit more serious. So it does, like I said, it feels like it's throwing a lot of things at a wall and just kind of going with it. It's still fun, it's still silly, I'll still watch it, but I'm just being honest about how I see it, as it trying to take something serious, being a little bit silly in some areas, throwing a lot of things together, and the real main important thing, and I think this is really, really, really important, the maid is really hot, she has big gazongas, and I would tap that. So again, love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.